Hey, how's you going, boys? Mike here. Welcome back to Grampie's workshop. We're going to do a little bit more work on our snowblower. I've got problems with the transmission on the snowblower. When you pull down the lever to make the snowblower go, it doesn't go. Now this transmission is made up of a couple of different pieces and parts from other snowblowers, and it's not what you would call your normal transmission. Anyways, we'll dig into it and we'll have a look, see what we need to do to get it going. So we tipped the blower up on its face, and we got the rear end of it stuck up in the air here now. So I'm just going to take these bolts out of here and check the transmission. Normally in a snowblower transmission we have this traction disc here, drive disc. It's got a rubber coating on it. You see there's a couple little pit marks in that, so it's getting close to being where it needs to get replaced. But that friction, that rubber disc goes against this friction wheel. This wheel comes up and makes contact with this rubber disc. That turns, and it turns through these gears and makes the wheels turn. But this transmission is it's a hybrid transmission. I made this transmission out of a couple of old transmissions because I was trying to get this snowblower back operational. If you see right in here, these two gears aren't normally like set up this way, but right in there where the screwdriver is, you can see some shiny spots. And what I did was I tried to weld that so that I could get some traction. So to start taking the transmission apart, I have to take the wheel off. So this 13 mil here. And then this wheel pulls off. And then that's just a bushing that's it's machined or formed, because it's plastic, to fit into a hexagonal hole in the side body there. Okay, I've taken the other wheel off too, just so that's easier to get at. So this gear here is connected to this hex shaft and nothing else, right? So I need to get transfer from this gear to this gear. So I go through that gear up to this one. This gear just idles on this shaft. It's not connected to that shaft in any way. There was a keyway there, but that was from the old transmission. I took that keyway out. So from this big gear then to that little small gear inside, back down to this bigger gear, and then that bigger gear has a small gear on the outboard side of it, which travels up to this gear up here, and then that will actually turn the traction wheels. If I hold this rubber disc, see, that wheel will turn. That's what my problem is. I'm not sure if you saw what was happening there, but this gear, in fact the welds have broke on that gear, and it slips on this shaft. So let's take this circlip out of here. Here we go. Okay. And we'll slide this gear over here now. There. If we hold this shaft steady, and if we jam this gear here so that it won't turn, see, that shaft will turn in that. So if you see what's going on there, this shaft is turning in that gear. So what I need to do is I need to get my welder out. I need to clean up this mess right here and see if I can get that to work. Trouble is, in order to get all this gear train out of here, I have to take this bottom gear out, and I think that's what I'm going to do. I'd rather have this out on a table where I can weld it up, get a good weld on it, rather than try to weld it in place. So I'm going to take this bottom drive gear out, so the transmission is going to come completely apart, but that's okay. So in order to take this mid shaft out, I have to take this off of here, like that. Then hopefully this shaft will come out of there. Oh, there's a circlip over here on this side. So now that should slide over. except that, there we go. See, because I've modified somewhat this transmission, then this doesn't come apart in a normal way. There's a circlip on this other end, I'm just going to take that off. Then I can take the bearing off of this end, and then I can take this shaft out completely. Now, what's happening is this gear is hitting against this throw here, so what's going to have to happen is we're going to have to take this mechanism out, which is the gear selection mechanism. So now, that comes down right there. And that, with that down like that, we can hopefully get enough room. Well, I'll be darned, look at that, we can't. Now what do I do? How did I get that in there? Surely I didn't weld it in place, did I? I can't remember when I did this. Alright, well, I thought I could take that whole shaft out, but there I go thinking again. So I'm going to have to get geared up and weld this in place. I don't like that. One thing though, because the way the weld broke, I found the proper location for it now. Like that was another thing when I was rebuilding this. I had to try to find a good spot to set that, like a good location for it, so that it would mesh, not be too close to the side. Anyway, that's all done up. So I think what I have to do is I have to jam that on there. Okay, you know what? I'm going to get the welder out and try to get set up here. And I'm going to put a little spot maybe on this side, because this side just goes up against the cushion where clearance is kind of an issue on the inside. We're going to try and weld a bead around the outside. Another bead. And I've said so many times before, I'm not much of a welder, but I'm going to try and stick a bead or a blob right on here. Alright, I've got quite a bit of gob on that, so that should hold that ring gear on there a little bit. But I've got a lot of splatter down here on my friction disc, and that ain't so good. So I'm going to try and scrape that off. Now I'm just going to get some memory paper and try to give that another little rub. I think that might help too. So it's just a little piece of emery paper. There, that's not going to hurt a thing. Alright, so I didn't put any weld on this side of the gear because this spur gear has to come up pretty close to it. And it looks like I still have room to get the circlip in there, so that's going to be good. Before I can put this intermediate shaft back in, we have to do things in proper order, right? I need to lift this back up and put our shift mechanism back in place. So I have to move this gear to the other side of this shifter lever. We can put this intermediate shaft in. So that goes in there. And then this mechanism hooks up in there. And then this goes in there. Something like that. So there's the bearing, and it goes on over here. Like so. We don't really have this upper shaft fully situated and seated yet, but this intermediate shaft is in place. So then this gear slides over and it meshes. And as that turns, this turns and it turns the wheels. So now we put this little hex spacer in there. One other thing we have to do to locate all this to make sure it doesn't move. So there's a little circlip groove right there, so we put this circlip in there. And then with this gear fully to the right hand side, there's another circlip groove right there. And we put this circlip in there. Voila! Okay, so I think we've resolved our issues with the transmission. So now we have our transmission back together, and as we turn the wheels, the transmission turns. And if I put a wrench on this hex shaft, it's definitely stuck good. So we got that transmission kind of repaired again. That the way that gear was on that shaft, I thought I'd be able to get that right out of there, but I couldn't. Oh well, you can't. So I welded her up again. That's what I did the last time. It lasted for 2 or 3 years, so maybe it'll last 2 or 3 years again, because I'm not much of a welder. Anyway, it's working. That's the main thing. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. All my regular viewers out there, can't thank you enough for all the support you show my channel. It's just unbelievable. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm so glad you dropped by. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you come back often. And don't forget, everyone, thumbs up me and comment. I like those. So take care, stay safe. We'll talk to you soon.